J-Town Playhouse Theater and tonight's performance by the Reduced Shakespeare Company. I have a few brief announcements before we get underway. First, if you've got any food, please unwrap it now so it doesn't make any crinkly noises during the show. Anything else that makes noises, like cell phones, or beepers, or pages, or whatever it is you kids use these days, please turn them off. In addition, the use of flash photography and the recording of this show by any means, audio or video, is strictly prohibited by the management. Also, for your convenience, toilets are located that way and on the left. Also, please take a moment now to look at the exit nearest to your seat. Should you feel or experience a sudden loss of pressure, oxygen mask goes off automatically. Simply place the mask over your mouth and nose and continue to breathe normally. If you're at the theater with a small child, please put your own mask on first. Then let the little bugger fend for himself. At this time, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dan Dobro of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, and tonight we're going to attempt a feat which we believe to be unprecedented. Unprecedented in the history of theater. That is, to capture in a single theatrical experience the magic, the genius, the towering grandeur that is the complete works of William Shakespeare. Yeah. Now, we've got a lot to get through tonight, so at this time, I'd like to introduce a member of the company who is one of Jerusalem's preeminent Shakespearean scholars. He has a bachelor's degree from Hebrew University, where I believe he read 2 books about William Shakespeare. He's here tonight to provide a brief preface to the complete works of Shakespeare Abridged. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Stephen Lerner.
Thank you, Daniel. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. William Shakespeare, playwright, poet, actor, philosopher, a man whose creative and literary genius has had an immeasurably profound impact upon the consciousness and culture of the entire English-speaking world. And yet, how much do we really know? I mean, how much do we, mere mortals and amateur thespians of the 21st century, really know and appreciate the tremendous body of work contained within this single volume? Well, not enough, I would argue, and I believe that I can prove my point by conducting a brief poll amongst you, the audience here tonight. Arye, can I have the house lights, please?
Yep.
Ah, yes, that's much better. There's some pretty ones here tonight. Now, you are clearly a theater-going crowd of no doubt above average intellectual and cultural awareness. And yet, if I could just have by a brief show of hands, how many of you here tonight have seen or read anything by Shakespeare? Any exposure to the barges? Just get out of here. Don't worry about it. If they didn't want to meet it, we should start running now.
Hey, no, Shakespeare, just keep going. What's it? Narrow it down.
What?
Narrow it down.
Yes, how's about we narrow it down a little bit, shall we? Let's see, who here has seen or read All's Well That Ends Well? Also, anyone? Just raise your hands. Okay, that seems to be separating the wheat from the chaff rather nicely now, isn't it? Now, to see who our true Shakespeare trivia champions are, who here has seen or read, what's a good one? King John. King John, anyone? Yeah, right. Would you mind telling me what it's about then? Hey! Don't ask her. You're on your own, buddy.
It's about a hunchback. No?
Oh, you laugh, ladies and gentlemen, you scoff. But let those of you who is free of sin live in a glass house, for you see, ladies and gentlemen, this child, awash in a sea of racial ambiguity, clearly not the sharpest tool in the shed. He represents the failure of our educational system. But he's not alone, for within each and every one of you is a piece of him. For his face is your face. His glazed eyes are your glazed eyes. His empty brain is your empty brain. And his teeth, ladies and gentlemen, his teeth are your teeth. Ugh, and they scream, floss me! Get that checked out, really. Now, I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that our society's collective capacity to comprehend, much less attain, the genius of William Shakespeare has been systematically compromised by video games, vandalized by reality television, and annihilated by Andrew Lloyd Webber. But Have no fear, we of the Reduced Shakespeare Company are here. I had a vision, ladies and gentlemen, and in that vision the Bard came to me, and he said, Stephen. And I said, yes, Bard. And he said, Stephen, I have planted a cultural vineyard, but they have not reaped. I have put quills of papyrus, but they have not read. Descend amongst my children, drag them out of that 21st century quagmire that they are stuck in with the likes of Justin Bieber and Kim Kardashian. Raise them out of that literary purgatory where they reside and take them into the future. Yes, a glorious future. A future where this book will be found in every hotel room in the world. That is my dream, ladies and gentlemen. I feel as if I'm preaching to the converted. Can I get an amen? Amen. Can I get a hallelujah? Hallelujah. Can I get a praise be the Bard? Praise be the Bard. Join us, ladies and gentlemen. Join us as we begin this Shakespearean jihad, if you will, to the brave new world, to the land of intellectual redemption by opening your hearts. Yes, open your hearts. And your pocketbooks. Come on now. We accept any denomination at all. Anything except the rupee. We're not quite sure what that is. Give us your cash if we be friends, and deduct it when the tax year ends. How are we doing tonight, Dan?
A bunch of Shylocks here, Stephen.
That's what you get for performing in a country full of Jews.
I'm not the one who booked the gig.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, on to the show. Put some love in your hearts, and may the Bard be with you.
Any of you that own a copy of this book know that no collection is complete without a brief biography of the life of William Shakespeare. Providing this portion of the show will be the third member of the Reduced Shakespeare Company. Please welcome to the stage, Mr. David Herrera.
Just pick them. Oh, please don't touch these. What? They go in order. Okay. Hi. I've just been gathering a few notes on Shakespeare and all the stuff he did, so we could you know get to know all the really great stuff he did, and we could get the show
Just get on
really
with it.
good.
Get on with it, David.
Okay. William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was born in 1564 in the town of Stratford-upon-Avon, Warwickshire. The third of 8 children, he was the eldest son of John Shakespeare, a locally prominent merchant, and Mary Arden, the daughter of a Roman Catholic member of the landed gentry. In 1582, he married Anne Hathaway, a farmer's daughter. He is supposed to have left Stratford after he was caught poaching in the deer park of a local justice of the peace. Shakespeare arrived in London in 1588, and by 1582 had achieved success as a playwright and an actor. After 1608, his dramatic production lessened, and it appears he spent more time in Stratford. Rude. There he dictated to his secretary, Rudolf Hess, the work Mein Kampf, in which he set forth his program for the restoration of Germany to a dominant position in Europe. After reoccupying the Rhineland zone between France and Germany, annexing Austria, the Sudetenland, and the remainder of Czechoslovakia, Shakespeare invaded Poland on September 1st, 1939, thus precipitating World War II. Did you know that?
Why, no.
No, you didn't, but you would have if you were paying attention. Shakespeare remained in Berlin when the Russians entered the city and committed suicide with his mistress, Eva Braun. He lies buried in church at Stratford. Thank you.
Very well. Without further ado, the Reduced Shakespeare Company is proud to present the complete works of William Shakespeare, Abridged.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. And one man in his time plays many parts. How true, ladies. Yes, my old girlfriend used to have that fetish as well. Now, where better to begin our exploration of the complete works of the greatest of all English playwrights than in Verona, Italy, with two of his most beloved characters, Romeo and Juliet. Now, David and Daniel here will be attempting to portray all the major characters contained within Romeo and Juliet, while I fill in with bits of, analysis here and there. And after their exhaustive research, we at the Reduced Shakespeare Company have decided to begin our abbreviated version of Romeo and Juliet with the prologue.
Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge breaks a new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventures piteous o'erthrows do with their death bury their parents' strife.
Act 1, Scene 1. In the street meet two men, both tall, dark, and handsome. The one, Benvolio, the other, Samson. Their hatred fueled by an ancient feud, for one serves Capulet, the other, Montague.
Ooh, it's him. I hate his family, hate his big
Guts,
dog,
swear to
hate
God,
them
I'm
all.
gonna kill him. Oh! Do you bite your thumb at me, sir?
No, sir, I do but bite my thumb.
Aye, but do you bite your thumb at me, sir?
No, sir, I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, but I do bite my thumb. Do you quarrel, sir?
Quarrel, sir? No, sir.
If you do, I am for you. I serve as good a man as you.
Oh, no, better.
Yes, better.
Would you lie?
Rebellious subjects, enemies to the peace, profaners of this neighbor-stained steel. You, Capulet, shall go along with me. Benvolio, come you this afternoon to hear our farther pleasure in this case.
Where is Romeo? Saw you him today? Oh, right glad I am he was not at this fray. Oh, but see, here he comes. Romeo, he cried. I'll know his agreements or be much denied. Good morrow, cuz.
Is the day so young?
But you struck 9.
I need sad hours seem long.
What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours?
Not having that which having makes them short.
In love.
Out.
Out of love.
Out of her favor where I am in love.
Alas, that love so gentle in his view should be so rough and tyrannous in proof.
Alas, that love whose view is muffled still should without eyes see pathways to his will. Oh.
Go ye to the feast of Capulets. There sups the fair Rosaline, whom thou so lovest with all the admired beauties of Verona. Go thither and bear her face with some that I shall show, and I shall make thee think thy swan a crow.
I'll go along, no such sight to be shown, but to rejoice in the splendor of mine own.
And so much for scenes 1 and 2. Wasn't that good? So on to the Feast of Capulets, where Romeo is doomed to meet his Juliet, and where in a scene of timeless romance. You'll try to get into Juliet's pants.
I feel pretty, I feel pretty and bright, and I pity any girl who isn't me tonight.
She doth teach the torches to burn bright. My heart loved till now, forswear its sight, for I ne'er saw true beauty till this night. If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle fine is this, my lips, two blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth that rough touch over with a tender kiss.
Oh, good pilgrim, you do wrong your hands too much, which manly devotion shows in this. For saints of hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm, and holy palmers kiss.
Have not saints lips and holy palmers too?
Aye, good pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer.
Oh, that your sake, let lips do what hands do.
Saints do not move the grant for prayer's sake.
Then move not, while my prayers back their take.
Oh, then from my lips the sin that they have took.
Sin from my lips? Oh, trespass sweetly urged, give me my sin again.
Oh. I don't want to kiss you, man.
Oh!
You kissed by the book. Oh, what?
Coming, mother. Is she a Capulet? Aye, so I fear. More is my unrest. What are you doing?
The balcony seat.
But soft, what light through yonder window breaks?
Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be Capulet. What's in a name, anyway? That which we call a nose by any other name would still smell. Oh, Romeo, doff thy name, which is no part of thee. Take all myself. Good man.
I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I shall be new baptized. Henceforth, I shall never be Romeo.
What man art thou? Art thou not Romeo and a Montague?
Neither, fair maid, if either thee dislike.
Dost thou love me, then? I know thou wilt say aye, and I will take at thy word. Yet if thou swearest, thou mayst prove false. Good Romeo, if thou dost love, pronounce it faithfully.
Lady, by yonder blessed moon,
Oh.
I swear.
Swear not by the moon.
What shall I swear by?
Her.
Lady, by yonder blessed virgin, I swear.
I don't think so. No, don't swear at all. Although I joy in thee, I have no joy in this contract tonight. It is too rash, too sudden, too unadvised, too like the lightning, which doth cease to be ere one can say it lightens. Sweet, good night.
Oh, wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have?
The exchange of thy love's faithful vows for mine.
I gave thee mine before thou didst request it. 3 words, gentle Romeo, then good night indeed. If that thy bent up, oi. That's more than 3. If that thy bent of love be honorable, thy purposed marriage, send word tomorrow. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow.
Really, it is.
Sleep dwell upon mine eye, peace in thy breast. Oh, that I would sleep in peace, so sweet to rest.
Though Romeo did swoon with love, by Cupid he'd been crippled, but Juliet had a loathsome cuz whose loathsome name was Tybalt.
Romeo, the love I bear thee can afford no better term than this. Thou art a villain, therefore turn and draw.
Tybalt, I do protest. I never injured thee, but love thee better than thou canst devise.
Oh, thou wretched boy, I am for you.
Sorry.
You couldn't have caught
I
that. Right at you.
It worked better in rehearsal.
Oh, I am slain.
Now what do you do?
I don't know, he skipped all this stuff. Fine, okay, go to here. Okay. So, moving right along. From Tybalt's death onwards, the lovers are cursed, despite the best efforts of friar and nurse. Their fate pursues them, they can't seem to done it. And at the end of Act 5, they both kick the bucket.
Gallop apace, you fiery-faced steeds, and bring in cloudy night immediately. Come, civil night. Come, Romeo, thou day and night. Come, civil, black-browed night. Oh, come! Come, gentle night. Oh, come! Come! Oh, come! Oh, God! Oh, ow! Oh, come! Oh, come! Oh, ow! I didn't write this. And bring me my Romeo! Okay. Oh, it is my nurse. What news?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
You can have another minute.
No, no.
It's all good. It's all good.
Alack the day, he's gone, he's killed, he's dead!
Can heaven be so envious?
Romeo, Romeo, whoever would have thought it? Romeo!
Has Romeo slain himself?
I saw the wound. I saw it with mine own eyes. God save the mark. Here in his manly breast. Men are all dissemblers. They take things apart and reassemble them. I don't know what a dissembler is.
Oh, God. He's gone. He's dead. He's killed. Are you free later? My whole schedule is just open. We'll talk at intermission. Oh, break my heart, poor baker, break it once to prison eyes, ne'er look on liberty, while earth to earth resign, and motion here, and thou, and Romeo. Go drink a beer.
Oh, Tybalt was the best friend I ever had. That ever I should live to see thee murdered.
Is Romeo slaughtered and is Tybalt dead, my dear loved cousin and my dear love? Okay. Then dreadful trumpets. Sound the general doom.
No, Juliet, no. Tybalt is gone and Romeo banished. Romeo that killed Tybalt, he's banished.
Did Romeo's hand shed Tybalt's blood?
It did, alack the day, it did.
Oh my God! Oh, this is terrible! Oh my God! Oh, please, God! Why me, God?
Thank you.
Now Romeo is gone, whom Tybalt would have slain. That's good, isn't it? And Tybalt is dead, who would have killed my husband. That's good, isn't it? And why do I feel like poo-poo? Oh, Friar Lawrence! Romeo is banished and Tybalt is slain!
Juliet!
What?
I already know thy grief. Take thou this vial and this distilled liquor, drink thou off. And presently through all thy veins shall run a cold and drowsy humour.
Oh, I feel a cold and drowsy humor running through my veins. Excuse me, ma'am, do you have a Pepto?
closet and dry heat.
I see a bright light.
No! My love, my wife.
What's payback, Steve?
It's a bitch.
Yeah.
No more Juliet scenes for you, Dave. Hang in there.
Death that hath sucked the honey of thy breath hath no power yet upon thy beauty. Oh, Juliet, why art thou so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous to keep thee here in the dark to be his paramour?
Here's to my love.
O true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus with a kiss, I die.
Kiss him.
Thus with a kiss, I die. Come on.
Oh, good morning. Where is my It just doesn't stop, does it? What's this? A cup. Close to my true love's hand. Poison, I see, hath been his timeless end. Poor churl. And left no friendly drug to help me after. Then I'll be brief. Happy dagger. This is thy sheath! That's not Romeo. This is thy sheath! There rust, and let me die!
Epilogue.
A glooming peace this morrow with it brings. The sun for sorrow will not show its head. Go forth and have more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned and some punished. For never was there a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo.
And Romeo and Juliet are dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, in preparing this unprecedented complete work show, we've encountered the following problem. How to take these 400-year-old plays and make them accessible to a modern audience. One popular trend is to take Shakespeare's plays and transpose them into modern settings. We've seen evidence of this with Shakespeare's plays set in such unusual locations as the lunar landscape, Nazi concentration camps, and even Cleveland, Ohio. In this vein, Stephen has traced the roots of Shakespeare's symbolism, in the context of a pre-Nietzschean society, through the totality of a jejune circular relationship of form, and contrasted with the complete otherness of the metaphysical cosmologies and ethical mores entrenched in the collective subconscious of an agrarian race. So we now present Shakespeare's first tragedy, Titus Andronicus, as a cooking show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, gourmets, and welcome to Roman Meals. I'm your host, Titus Androgynous. Now look. When you've had a long day, your hand chopped off, bam! Your son's murdered, your daughter raped, her tongue cut out, both her hands chopped off, bam, bam! Well, the last thing you want to do is cook dinner, you know what I mean? Unless, of course, you cook the rapist and serve him to his mother at the dinner party, ha ha ha! Come, my daughter Lavinia and I will show you how. Come, Lavinia. Good evening, Lavinia.
Good evening, Father.
And how are we doing today?
That's so good.
Yeah, it's a pisser.
No one's gonna love me, Dad.
They wouldn't have loved you anyways. But we will have our revenge, won't we? Now, villain, I will grind your bones to dust, and with your blood in it I will make a paste. And of that paste the coffin I will rear, and make a pastry of your shameful head. Get ready to receive the blood, Lavinia. Now the first thing you want to do is make a nice clean incision from carotid artery to jugular vein, like so. Ha! Now make sure to use a big bowl because the human body has 4 clots of blood in it, and you don't want to miss a single drop. Forget about it.
Oh, this is so gross. Oh my God, this is disgusting. Is it done? Is it done?
Sir, your wife is taking meticulous notes on the killing process, so just like start putting the lid down or, you know, like taking out the trash or something. Let me give you a hand with that, Lavinia. And when that the rapist is dead, which should be roughly around, now, I will grind his bones to powder small, and in this hateful liquor temperate, and in this hateful liquor let his head be baked at about 350 degrees. And 40 minutes later, you have the most wonderful human head pie, fit for a king, with some lovely lady fingers for dessert. Who wants to try? Who wants to feed? Come, grateful lord. Come, dread queen. Wilt you eat it? Wilt you feed? Come on, come on. It's finger licking good.
Is this some sort of sick joke? He does this to me all the time. Anybody know a good therapist?
Well,
We'll talk later.
you need a lot of that. Anyways, that's all the time we have left for this week, folks. Make sure to tune in next week when our guest chef, Timon of Athens, shows you how to make chopped liver out of the merry wines of Windsor. But until then, bon appetit! Say goodnight, Lavinia.
Good night.
We hope nobody was too offended by Titus Andronicus. It seems that Shakespeare in his early days went through a blood and guts period. No doubt if he were alive today, he'd be in Hollywood working on Titus Andronicus 9, Just Desserts. But now we'd like to move on to explore portray the genius evident in some of Shakespeare's more mature plays, as we explore his dark and brooding tragedy, Othello, the Moor of Venice.
Speak of me as I am. Let nothing extenuate of one who loved not wisely, but too well. For never was there a story of more woe than this of Othello and his Desdemone. Oh. Oh, Desi!
Alright, can we get some power slides, please? We left David on his own to look at this play. This Seems like he looked up more in the dictionary and thought it was a place where you tie up boats.
Yeah. Which in this context is completely ridiculous. You see, in the 16th century, the word Moor referred to a black person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I feel like such a dork.
So just go with the feeling. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem in performing Othello at all, you see, because the part is written for a black person, and we're,
I'm actually not even ethnic at all.
right, and I'm, more Eastern European, Hasidic dynasty,
Both the paler end of the spectrum. We're Ashkenazi.
is what we are. Therefore, we're not going to be able to perform Othello for you tonight, so how about we move on to the next show?
No, wait, guys, look. Listen, just put it on. Look, just because we're white doesn't mean that we have to perform Othello. Look, I got an idea, totally boatless. Can we please do something I want to do for once? Like, please.
Fine, just get on with it.
Just kind of, join in once you get the hang of it. Check it. Now here's the story of a brother named Othello. He liked white shorties and he liked green jello.
Yeah. Okay. Can you give me a hand with this? We're good? And a punk named Iago who made himself a menace because he didn't like Othello, the Moor of Venice.
Now Othello got hitched to Desdemona.
But he took off for the wars and he left her alone.
It was a Mona.
A Grona.
He left her alone.
Can't be serious.
We're like Jay-Z, Eminem. Come on, dude, just be quiet for a few minutes.
Please.
It's fine. He didn't write a letter and he didn't telephone, Desdemona, she was fickle, she was chastity tight, she was the daughter of a duke.
Yeah, she was totally white.
And Iago loved Desi like Adonis loved fetus.
And Desi loved Othello because he had a big sword.
Dirty. But Iago had a plan that was clever and slick. He was crafty, he was sly.
He was sort of a dick.
I'm gonna shank the Moor.
How you gonna do it? Tell us!
Well, I know his tragic flaw is that he's
Too damn jealous.
I need a dupe, I need a dope, I need a kind of a schmo.
So we find a dumb sucker by the name of Cassio.
And he plants on him Desdemona's handkerchief.
So Othello gets to wondering, maybe just it, while he be out fighting, commanding an army.
I'm Desi in Cass playing hide and salami. Salami.
So he comes back home and sticks a pillow in her face.
Kills her until the choir is as bad as his grace.
But there's Amelia at the door.
Who we met in that ball.
Who said you big dummy? She wore no whore. She was pure, she was clean, she was virginal too.
So why'd you have to go and make her face turn blue? It's true.
It's you.
Now what you gonna do? And Othello say,
Damn, girl! This is getting pretty scary.
So he pulled out his blade and committed Harry Carey.
Iago got caught, but he probably copped a plea.
Loaded up his bag
And moved to Beverly. Why don't we take a break from all this heavy tragedy and move on to the comedies for a while, huh?
comedies!
Now, when it came to the comedies, Shakespeare was a genius at borrowing and adapting plot devices from other theatrical traditions.
These influences include the Roman plays of Plautus and Terence, Ovid's Metamorphoses, which are hysterically funny. Not. And the rich Italian tradition of Commedia dell'arte.
Right, so basically, Shakespeare stole everything he ever wrote.
Whoa, David, steal is a very strong word. Distilled, Shakespeare distilled.
Well then, he distilled 3 or 4 of the funniest gimmicks of his time and milked them into 16 plays.
Essentially, Shakespeare was a formula writer. Once he found a device that worked, he used it
Over and over and over again.
So, Mr. Shakespeare, the question we have for you is this.
Why did you write 16 comedies when you could have written just one?
In answer to this question, we, the Reduced Shakespeare Company, have taken the liberty of condensing all 16 of Shakespeare's comedies into a single play. Lipstick on my teeth. Which we have entitled The Comedy of Two Well-Measured perchance been lost in the merry wives of Venice on a midsummer's 12th night in winter.
Or,
Cymbeline taming Pericles the merchant in the tempest of love as much as you like it for nothing.
or,
The love boat goes to Verona.
comedy.
Comedy.
Comedy. Act 1. A Spanish duke swears an oath of celibacy and turns the rule of his kingdom over to his sadistic and tyrannical twin brother. He learns the fantastical feats of magic and sets sail for the golden age of Greece, along with his daughters, 3 beautiful and virginal sets of identical twins. While rounding the hill of Italy, the duke's ship is caught in a terrible tempest, which, in its fury, casts the duke up on a desert island, along with the loveliest and most virginal of his daughters, who stumbles into a cave where she is molested by a creature who is either a man or a fish, or both.
Act 2. The long-lost children of the Duke's brother, also coincidentally 3 sets of identical twins, have just arrived in Italy. Though still possessed of an inner nobility, they are ragged, destitute, penniless, flea-infested, shadows of the men they once were, and in the utmost extremity are forced to borrow money from an old Jew who deceives them into putting down their brains as collateral on the loan. Meanwhile, the 6 brothers fall in love with 6 Italian sisters, 3 of whom are sharp-tongued, pretentious little shrews. The other 3 are submissive, air-headed little bimbos.
Act 3. The shipwrecked identical daughters of the Duke wash up on the shores of Italy, disguise themselves as men, and become pages to the shrews and matchmakers to the Duke's brother's sons. They lead all the lovers into a nearby forest where, on a midsummer's night, a bunch of mischievous fairies squeeze the aphrodisiac juice of a hermaphroditic flower into the shrews' eyes, causing them to fall in love with their own pages, who in turn have fallen in love with the Duke's brother's sons. Meanwhile, the queen of the fairies seduces the jackass, and they all have an animalistic, bisexual orgy.
Act 4.
The elderly fathers of the Italian sisters, finding their daughters missing, dispatch messages to the pages telling them to kill any man in the vicinity.
However, unable to find men in the forest, the messengers, in a final, misguided act of loyalty, deliver the messages to each other and kill themselves.
Meanwhile, the fish creature and the Duke arrive in the forest, disguise themselves as Russians, and for no apparent reason conduct a 2-man underwater version of Uncle Vanya.
Act 5.
The Duke commands the fairies to right their wrongs.
The pages and the bimbos get into a knockdown, drag-out fight in the mud.
During which the pages' clothes get ripped off, revealing female genitalia.
The Duke recognizes his daughters.
The Duke's brother's sons recognize their uncle.
One of the bimbros grows up to be Tippy Leave-Me.
And they all get married and go out to dinner.
Except for a minor character in the second act who gets eaten by a bear, and the Duke's brother's sons who, unable to pay back the old Jew, give themselves lobotomies.
And
they all live happily ever after. We now move on to the rest of Shakespeare's tragedies. Because basically, we found that the comedies aren't half as much fun as the tragedies. Take, for example, Shakespeare's Scottish play, Macbeth.